Our intent tonight is to talk to you about roof systems and what that means, why that's significant, is it significant? And I'm gonna do that in pretty short order, not too much in depth, and then really, we're here for you. You gotta understand that especially in your market here, our market, this is not a licensed profession. Our market has not graduated to that level yet at this point. In recent days, we've had, I want to say regulation, that's not what word I'm looking for, but now they are required to register at least. Put their name on a list, pay a fee, follow some certain guidelines, prove that you have certain insurances. So it's not as much as we'd like to have, but it's better. But we're going to give you some very effective tools tonight to whether you choose Red River Roofing or whether you choose any other number roofing company. We're going to give you a very helpful list of steps to go through to protect yourselves and pass it on to anybody you know, and I'll walk you through that. It's very effective whether it's concrete contractor or plumbing or painting or roofing or whatever. It's a generic form that you can use. Okay, systems. Different manufacturers make different products in relation to roofing. The core product is the shingle itself. But kind of in our market, the three big players are GAF, Owens Corning, and CertainTeed. A system are all of the other components that make up the roof. When they bring up all that stuff and they dump it on the front of your driveway, they have a big pallet of shingles, but then they've got nails, and then what's the paper they put underneath the shingles? Black paper, you hear it called felt sometimes, or underlayment. So they've got that, and then sometimes they'll put metal all the way around the edge of the roof, and then on the pieces where it peaks up on the top, and on the edges where it comes up, sometimes they'll use other pieces of shingles. So those are ridge shingles or hip shingles. What we did is we built like a little mock-up for you so you could see, we talked about these components, the system. When the guys install the roof, what they'll do is we've got edge metal that goes across the bottom, does a couple things. It protects that exposed edge of the plywood so that, say, the gutter fills up, water's not going right up against the gutter, blowing wind and rain. So you're not exposing raw wood to the weather and the elements. So we'll cover that there. Then the underlayment or felt, and there's a number of different products out there, that overlaps on top of the metal. Think of a waterfall. It goes from one surface to the next. The next one, the metal is going to be on the edge. Same function on the edge, also gives it a cleaner look, covers that, but it also holds this down. Okay, now, this right here is probably one of the most common errors that roofers do all over the entire country, is they'll go out and the guys they want to hurry and get off that roof, so they'll put this edge metal on, bang it out all around the entire roof, and then they'll put this on top. Okay, now this part's going up the roof and the wind's blowing from the side. Guess where the water goes? Goes right underneath that underlayment and goes right onto the deck. This metal needs to be on top to keep the water to go on top of this so that it runs down on a protective layer. Then what they put on is a component that looks just like a shingle, but it's called a starter. The purpose of a starter is each of these shingles overlap one on top of the other, but on the back of this shingle, there's a strip of adhesive like this. So this one sticks to that one, this one sticks to the next one. So these ones are all sticking to each other with an asphalt-based adhesive, but that very first shingle doesn't have another shingle to stick to. So what we do is we stick this one down, we nail it to the deck, and this becomes the foundation for the next shingle. So this one has adhesive on it, sticks together, that's kind of the anchor. These are all parts of a system component, because when they cut 3-tab shingles, that's not a system component, it's a shortcut. And now their bid is coming in a little bit lower because they're cutting corners. They're finding cheaper ways to get things done, but ultimately somewhere in that system, you're going to end up feeling the compromise possibly if, high winds, rain. So metal, underlayment, the starter, and then the shingles go on, and the shingles have their own patterns. And right on the wrapper, it tells them how far they're supposed to cut and stagger those patterns. Have you ever seen one of your neighbor's roofs where you looked at it to where these little laminated pieces on the top, for some reason, it didn't look like they were in sync with the other ones and there were straight lines going up in this? You see, tonight on the way home, you'll go, that's what he was talking about? That guy screwed up. when he did the roof. He didn't follow the instructions on the wrapper, and they're just banging out shingles. There's a far more complex science to installing shingles than guys grabbing shingles and just nailing them on.